Right, hi. And this might take a little bit of time for me to get into. The reason I'm making this video is I've just been watching a Russell Brand video. It was published today on 3rd of March, 2019. And he's talking to these two professors about, well, a whole load of stuff, you know, neoliberalism, for example. I'm struggling. I've got an IQ of 139, and I'm a bit struggling to sort of like follow what's going on, what they're talking about. I've had to, have my dictionary at hand and look up words that they've had to use, and stop the video and stuff. I might leave a link on this video. It's about violence. They're finding joy in violence. You can probably find it if you go to Russell Brand's video. YouTube channel, and it's the 3rd of March. Finding joy in amongst fascism and violence and stuff, something like that. It's quite an interesting discussion. One of the things I'm acutely aware of is that it's like poetry. Listen to these people talk. It's like listening to people recite sort of intellectual poetry, It's so nebulous. Nebulous means hard to define. It's you can't tell where the edges are very well, Right. So one of the things they keep bringing up is that we need to develop new types of languages. There's a lot of discussion about politics and stuff, and as I say, neoliberalism, this meshing together of right and left. I mean, I myself, I don't really understand a lot of this stuff. People talk about fascism as though it's extreme right? But what they're basically thinking of the National Socialists, like what commonly called Nazis, right? But socialism is left. So isn't it? I find it all. It's so confusing trying to get through this and wade through all this intellectual kind of hyperbole, whatever it's called. I partly can relate to why certain types of people, like the Marxists and stuff, and certain types of fascism, want to get rid of the first people to get rid of are the intellectuals, because they're like a minority, and most people can't understand what they're talking about. I mean, I've got a high IQ, and I still struggle to understand what these people are talking about. It's so highbrow, and it's so involves a lot of knowledge. Having read loads of people like Bertrand Russell, for example, and Noam Chomsky, these kind of people, most people have never even heard of them, These sort of like really intellectual guys, they've probably got IQs of like 170, 180 and that, extremely intelligent people write these books, and then you get these like slightly lesser intelligent people who read their books and then start talking about them. They're really they're making an effort to try and keep it down to a level where most people can understand. But who is most people? I mean, I've got an IQ of 139. That's only one point below genius, and I'm still struggling. So what was it like for people who've got a lesser IQ than I have? That's most people. I'm in the top 1%. What about the other 99% of people? How are they going to understand what's going on? I think that they actually don't know. Nobody really knows what's going on. Nobody, especially with our English language. It's like poetry. You have to speak in poetry, and it's everybody's like patting themselves on the back and patting their friends on the back because it sounds like great poetry. But does anybody actually know what they're talking about? Does anybody know anything? It seems not. You know, people don't know what they're talking about. Our language is too complicated. You know, it's too poetic. It's too plastic. It's too malleable. You know, I could end up. I could just give you loads and loads of words. You probably half of them you won't understand to describe. You know what's going on here and. Oh dear. So what are they talking about? I mean, you can find the video. You could always go watch their video. It's about an hour and a half long. It seems quite interesting, you know, but a lot of it, as I say, a lot of it, I can't really get my head around it. You know, just that thing about, I mean, what is fascism? That to me is a question that I've not found a proper answer to. People use the word, and it's like as if it's always a negative thing, you know. But they're talking about it now. We've got like this neoliberal fascism, you know. These people that are like the people in the government, you know, and people that are just. They're using, hey, actually, they're using sort of not words that most people just don't understand. I don't understand what fascism is. I've tried looking into it. You know, as I say, I've got an IQ of 139. I ought to know what fascism is, but I don't. I'm going to look in the dictionary, see what the dictionary says, right? Let's see. How do you spell fascism? F-A-S-C, isn't it? Let's have a look. Or is it F-A-C? Fascism. Right-wing political system characterized by state control and extreme nationalism. Fascist. See, it doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't make sense to me. What is it? What is right wing? I don't understand it. It doesn't. It's not an obvious thing to me. What fascism means. You know, I'm just thinking in my mind. I've got this picture of like these guys with like jack boots, and you know they're marching around like this. You know. It doesn't really tell me anything. It doesn't make sense. I don't know what it is. What is fascism? I don't. It doesn't. Nationalism. You know. Yeah. So this idea of neoliberal fascism. It's what the fuck's that? Neoliberalism. Liberal. See, I'm thinking it's like it's in between left and right. But it's a new type of fascism. You know, it's like you've got to be liberal. If you're not liberal, then you're the enemy of everyone. I don't know. if I can't understand it, how can normal people understand it? How can like people with lesser IQs understand it? Rule by blood. I mean, what does that mean? It's all poetry. I mean, I'm not saying you're a bad poet, HRC. You're a great poet as far as I'm concerned. But it's still poetry. We need a new type of language, right? This is one of the reasons I wanted to make this video, right? Is how do we make a new type of language that actually makes sense and people you can talk to normal people with the same language? Because I'm noticing this hierarchies. This is why the video is called what it is: compartmentalization, disinsentivization. There's different types of language. There's different hierarchies of language. I can watch a video like this Russell Brand video, and I know there's only a very small amount of a small percentage of people can actually watch the video and follow what's going on. And even then, you're still basically confronted with poetry. It's all poetry. There's nothing really concrete that they're talking about. It's all they're shuffling these ideas around. They're juggling different ideas. It's like it's entertainment. It's not education. It's entertainment. That's all I can do on my videos. That's one of the reasons I put my category of video as entertainment, because there's nothing else you can really do except entertain people. The language doesn't work. Our language just doesn't work properly. So I can't educate people because it's all just juggling. Nobody really understands the words. There's too many words. Yeah, dear. So what I think is going to happen, right? It's already happening in small ways. When you get away from the written word, because another thing, they're talking about the written word, but they are still no. They're talking about language, and we need a new language. These are professors, and this Russell Brand used to be like a comedian, and he's now gone more political, like left-wing political sort of thing. As I say, I can't even make sense out of what it means to be left-wing or right-wing. It doesn't, I know there are some concision. What is concision? Hang on. I don't think, is that a real word? Did you misspell that? Did you mean circumcision? Concise. I'm thinking it's to do with concise, which is like shortening things to make them as simple as possible. So concision. See, I don't, again, I'm having to look up what you're saying. What is concision? Hang on. C-O-N-C. Excuse me while I find out what concision means. Ugh. See, it's not even in my dictionary. I've got concise, brief, and to the point. So I expect that's what you mean, concision. Brief and to the point. Yeah. But it kind of like, it sweeps aside, not everything can be concision. You need a balance, don't you? You have to understand. I mean, you can use concision for like at certain times in order to save time, right? I understand that. But the thing is, if most people can't access it, because, like, for example, when I'm watching one of these videos, I have to keep using my dictionary to find out what these people mean. And it becomes, it's not just an hour and a half video. It becomes 2 or 3 hours because I've got to stop using my dictionary. And I've got already a very good understanding of words. Now, most people haven't got anything like the understanding that I've got. So that video is not available to them, even though they can watch it. They can't understand in it. They can't understand what the people are talking about. So it's no use to 99% of people. It might be interesting what they're talking about. And it's probably the same with my videos. There's a lot of what I talk about that's just not available to most people because they haven't got the right language. They speak a different language, or they just haven't got the vocabulary. So they can't really partake. I don't really know where I was going to go with this video. Yeah, fuck most people, yeah. Yeah, dear. So it's like is it compartmentalization again? We call ourselves humans, right? And we look at the world as though we're all the same. We're all humans, but there's all these different categories and hierarchies of humanity that use, in theory, use the same language, but in practice, they can't understand each other. You know, I have trouble speaking to people that have got a much lesser IQ than I've got, because it seems to me like I'm talking to an insect. It doesn't matter what I say or how I sort of like try to dumb down my language, I still can't communicate with these people. It's like, even if I explain the words that I'm using, it's like talking to an insect. They just don't understand what I'm talking about. It's like they look at me like I'm some kind of idiot. And I know I'm not a complete idiot. I mean, I am sometimes. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm an idiot. I don't even know what an idiot is. I know the dictionary definition. I know where the etymology of what an idiot is. It came from somewhere like Greece or Rome or Italy, you know, and it was like people that jumped on the bandwagon of politics when they didn't really understand what was going on. I think that's like an idiot. So a lot of people are idiots, but I think most people don't know what an idiot is, you know. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not completely talking. You're talking to an insect. Who's an insect? I don't even know what an insect is. You know, there's a really interesting thing in the Carlos Castaneda books, right? I really like Carlos Castaneda when it comes to doing the work and understanding about drugs, for example, right? About datura. Well, I've done these videos. I don't know if you saw the video I've done about datura. I've got this like pot of datura here. You know, I've been smoking it, and it's the devil's weed. They call it the devil's trumpet or something, you know. But I've been smoking it lately for the last few months. I really like it. It's a valid medicine. It's in Chinese traditional medicine. It's good for your heart. It's good for helping you sleep and stuff. It's a really useful medicine. But you can also use it as a powerful narcotic to sort of like take you out of reality. And in Carlos Castaneda's book, it's called, I think it's called A Yaqui Way of Knowledge. He takes he has large amounts of datura. I think he gets the root of a certain type of datura brumansia, I think it is. And he takes the root, digs the root up, and he makes a sort of like drink out of it. And it's really a powerful narcotic. You know, it's used as a rape drug. You know, they get the powder scopolamine, which is the drug, out of it, and blow it into people's faces, and it makes them just become totally suggestible to anything. So you can just tell them to, oh, why don't we go to my house? And they just go, okay, you know, and they just go, they basically do whatever you tell them to do, you know, for about 12 or 15 hours, you know. It's a really powerful drug. Anyway, the thing is, in the Carlos Castaneda books, when you read all the books and you find out what's the whole point of doing all these drugs and learning about all these different ways of perceiving reality, what they do eventually is they become insects. The whole point of these, like, he goes on, it takes 30 years of real intense work, like shamanic work, and the whole point is eventually you become an insect, you know. So again, I don't really know what you're talking about, you know. Yeah, I bet it does. You know, I mean, I take it. I look sexy, don't I? You know. I mean, who can deny that I don't look sexy, more sexier than when I started smoking datura? I'm actually going to smoke some more. I'm going to make some now because you know, I got used to it. I hardly can smoke anything that hasn't got datura in it anymore. It's my medicine of choice at the moment. Along with tobacco, obviously, you know, I'm not going to stop using tobacco just yet. But yeah, a little bit of tobacco, a bit of datura, because it's legal, you see, and it's much cheaper than cannabis. And basically use it the same as cannabis, just sort of like put a little bit in with some tobacco. It tastes nice as well. It's good for your lungs. It's good for your heart. Good for your sex drive. I think it may be good for the mind as well. It's one of the 50 principal medicines in traditional Chinese medicine. So it's a proper medicine. It's not like it's been demonized in the West, you know, like so many other things like cannabis. Thanks. I feel better. You know, I smoke datura, and I feel more relaxed. One of the things that I've noticed with it, right, which I've wine, I've gone from beer to wine. One of the things I've noticed about with datura is, and this is also something that is mentioned in the Carlos Castaneda books. He talks about your internal dialogue. You know, you're sort of like the voice in your head when you're thinking. You have this voice that's having discussions with itself, and you know, so you rehearse what you're going to say, but it can get out of control. Your internal dialogue can just go on and on and on, and it becomes like a sort of like an authority figure in your head, you know, keeping you under control all the time, you know, your super ego. And so he talks about how to get control of it and how to sort of disable it and stuff. What I've found with datura, it disables my internal dialogue. So it shuts up my internal voice. So I've got more space in my head. I can think my own thoughts more clearly, you know. I just feel more at peace, more relaxed. You know, it's a medicine for asthma, right? It's used for asthma. So people with asthma, it's very much a psychological thing, asthma. It's partly physical, but it's physiological, psychological. People have asthma because they get nervous. You know, the people get asthma attacks because of nervous energy, too much. This is how I understand it. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm just guessing, right? It's too much nervous energy. It all builds up, and you suddenly you got so much nervous energy that you can't breathe properly, right? Because the nervous energy is stopping your lungs from moving. So what datura does is it relaxes you, relaxes your mind, it relaxes your nervous system, so that you find breathing a lot easier. You can take deep breaths and you can be relaxed. So it's a traditional remedy for asthma. It's also used in a similar way for people that are having difficulty giving birth. For women, when they're, I'm sure it's mainly women who give birth, you know, but you know, predominantly women. When they're giving birth, and you know, because they have to breathe as well. It's a lot of giving birth is about taking deep breaths and stuff, and it's a painkiller. It's an extremely potent painkiller. So it helps get rid of the pain of childbirth. It helps with the breathing. So it's traditionally been used to facilitate an easy childbirth. If people are having difficulty giving birth, then they smoke Datura to help with the pain and deep breathing, so they can give birth more easily. It's a proper medicine for all kinds of things. I think more people should use it. That's why I made a video about it. Oh, that's okay. This is Pinot Noir. I don't really drink Pinot Noir. I usually drink Cabernet Sauvignon, but this tastes really nice. It's like blackcurrant. That's really pleasant. Yeah, I'm glad I bought that. Very cheap. £3.29. It's funny, right? I was going to talk to people in because I know a lot of my viewers are from the USA. I say a lot, it's like I'm not like I've got a lot of viewers or anything, but I know a fair few people are in the US, like UHRC and Mind Ray Part and stuff. Now, I was going to talk about one of my favorite medicines, which I've been getting into since I've been doing the work for the last 5 years, is reishi mushroom extract. Now, what the point I'm making here is that the exchange rate from the pound to the dollar is very favorable for people in America at the moment. And I get this, it's in a jar. It's not really, it's just a powder, it's a powder that I put in drinks like coffee and stuff. It's from reishi mushroom. In Chinese medicine, it's considered to be the most beneficial of all medicines. It's incredibly useful. It's anti-inflammatory. It's got vitamins and minerals. It's got loads of other good stuff that boosts your immune system. It's one of those. It's got one of those tags. They call it the herb of immortality. There's loads of herbs that they call the herb of immortality, though. It's just another one of them. I think they call the coconut tree the tree of life as well. So anyway, about 10 or 12 years ago, you could get in England, you could get $2 for £1, right? So I was buying for years. I was buying loads of stuff from America because it was really cheap. It was much cheaper to buy it from America than it was to buy it in England. But now you've got $1 to £1. So if you want to buy stuff from England, this is the place to buy it from. Hybrid herbs. This is my He Shall Wu. It's a different herb. It's also pretty good, an anti-aging herb. But the reishi, I buy eight ounces of reishi extract, and it's a 10-to-1 extract, but it's the top quality one. And you need to get the high quality. If you don't get the best quality, it's almost like a waste of money. But this shop, online shop, so you basically, it's going to cost you about $65, $70 to get 8 ounces, and that will last me about a year. Half a teaspoon a day. I just feel so much better from having it. I wouldn't want to do without it. I just got to use the toilet. I've got some more stuff to say. Just bear with me. Right. So reishi mushroom. When I first bought it, it was about 5 years ago now. I ordered it from Hybrid Herbs. I was looking around, and I thought this sounds like the good stuff. You know, I'm gonna. I looked at some of the reviews on their website, and people were saying really great things about it. So I thought, well, I've got to give this a try. And I ordered it. I also ordered chaga mushroom extract. I bought 2 ounces each of chaga mushroom extract and reishi mushroom extract. And the night after I ordered it, because I had to wait another 2 days for it to come through, the night I ordered it, I went to sleep and I dreamt of these man and woman, because they're known as the king and queen of the forest or of mushrooms. So I dreamt of this man and woman, a bit older than me. They seem to be about in their 50s. And they come and visited me. I don't remember what we was talking about, but it was like we were sitting there down, seemed like in a forest. And they were just, they had when I woke up after the dream, although I didn't remember what we was talking about, they seemed like long lost relatives that discovered me, and they had my best interests at heart, you know. And because of like you know, I've mentioned it in my last video about the family scapegoating, I've not had a very good childhood. I don't really relate to any of my real flesh and blood relatives very much at all. They're not nice people. So it was really nice to have these beings visit me in my dream. And when I woke up, I felt very sure that they were the spirits of reishi and chaga. They come to visit me in my dreams just after I'd ordered them. So the next day or so, 24 or 36 hours later, they came through the post, and I tried them. And I always want these herbs in my cupboard all the time now. Reishi extract and chaga extract. I wouldn't want to be without them. They're really, really powerful medicines. Chaga is used in Russia as a standard medicine to treat cancer. You know, it treats cancer. You know, it's incredibly powerful, and so is reishi. You know, reishi is like, as I say, it's considered the most superior of all medicines. So yeah, the point of me mentioning all this is that if you're in the USA, you can get you can buy import stuff from the UK at the moment very much cheaper, twice as cheap as you could 10 years ago when there was $2 to a pound. Now there's only $1 to a pound. You can import stuff from the UK, and it works out really cheap for you. Whereas I can't import stuff from the US anymore because it's too expensive. So you've got to yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, I really recommend it. You know, give it a try. You don't know what these things are going to do for you until you try them. This is really nice. I also recommend Datura stramonium. If you're going to smoke tobacco anyway, put in a bit of Datura in there. It just makes it taste nicer. It's smoother on the lungs. You get loads of benefits. You know, it's good for your heart. It's good for your sex drive. It's good for relaxation. It helps you sleep. It's just incredibly good, useful medicine. That's why they call it the devil's weed. You know, that's interesting as well. I'm gonna have to stop this video because I can just go on and on. You know, I basically said all I want to say again. Let me just think. Did I talk about it? Disinsentivization. What's that one? That's another long word. Yeah, Russell Brand used it when he was talking about what it's like when you do the work. And he was basically alluding to doing the work, and basically, it's a nobody. You don't get any thanks for doing the work. You know, you're trying to sort of do what you can to make the world into a better place, But what do they do to people like that? They crucify them. They make them drink poison, you know. I'm talking about Christ and Socrates, you know. That's what happens when you do the work. But then what else can you do? Are you going to join these people and sort of help destroy the world? Why would you want to do that? You know, I mean, I think along lines of like